This is a video on how to care for and operate the wireless sensor outlet. This device can be used with a chair sensor, a bed exit sensor, or an incontinence sensor. When one of the sensors is triggered, a message will be sent to your pagers or phones letting you know which sensor and resident to attend to. The call is then canceled at the wireless sensor outlet. The wireless sensor outlet has two switches on the top, one for setting a delay in seconds, which the sensor will trigger a message, and the on-off switch. The delay switch may not be for every resident, but can be set individually. If, for instance, you have someone who constantly adjusts themselves in a wheelchair, you may want to put their setting on 5. This would mean the resident would have to be off of their chair sensor for 5 seconds before a message is sent to staff. The on-off switch is used to turn the monitoring of the sensor on, and then turn it to off to cancel the call. To cancel it properly, leave the switch off for at least 5 seconds before turning it on again. On the side of the device, there are 2 sockets for up to 2 different sensors to be plugged in. There are also 2 LED lights that indicate a call being sent out. The device comes with a Velcro strap to secure the device to a wheelchair or bed. You can use double-sided Velcro if the area is not conducive to using the strap. The sensors are connected with an adapter cord. How to care for a bed exit sensor. The bed exit sensor and the chair exit sensor should not be folded. If the sensor is not in use, it must be stored flat. It may be a good idea to keep the box they come in for storage purposes. They can be cleaned with a damp cloth and mild detergent. These sensors are moisture resistant, but should not be submerged or damp for extended periods of time. How to care for an incontinence sensor. The incontinence sensor must lay flat. When not in use, you can roll the sensor. Do not fold it. They can be cleaned with a damp cloth and mild detergent. Do not submerge the cords in water. How to use a bed exit sensor with a wireless sensor outlet. Before giving the resident a bed sensor, chair sensor, or incontinence sensor, the wireless sensor outlet needs to be assigned in the Vigil software and tested. For more information on how to set up the outlet in the software, please consult your user's manual or contact Vigil to get a copy of the user's manual. You will need 3 pieces to set up the bed exit sensor: the sensor itself, the wireless sensor outlet, and the adapter cord. Plug the adapter cord into the socket and the other end into the bed sensor. The bed exit sensor should be placed under the heaviest part of your resident's body. Typically, this is under the hips. When mounting the wireless sensor outlet, make sure you have unobstructed access to the switches for turning the device on and for canceling the call. Tuck all cords away to avoid a tripping hazard. When the resident is in bed, turn the switch to on. Once the resident is off the sensor, if the outlet's delay is set to 0, the LED light will blink green immediately, indicating the resident is out of bed. At the same time, a message will be sent to pagers or phones indicating W out of bed. The W stands for wireless. To cancel the call, turn the switch off for at least 5 seconds. If you have a resident who has a delay set to 5 seconds, once they get off the sensor, the light will not blink green until after 5 seconds. If they get back on the sensor in 3 seconds, a call will not be sent out. However, if they are set to 0 seconds, once they lift off the sensor, even for a second, the call will be sent to staff. Once a call has been sent, even if the resident sits back down, you would have to go to the wireless sensor outlet and turn the switch to off. How to use a chair exit sensor with the wireless sensor outlet. When securely mounting the wireless sensor outlet to a wheelchair, make sure the cords are tucked away and that the switches are easily accessible. Don't leave the wireless sensor outlet dangling off the wheelchair, as this could damage the cord and the device. The sensor should be placed as close to the resident as possible. We don't recommend placing a cushion on top of the sensor, as this can impede the sensor registering the resident's weight. Once the resident is comfortably on the chair sensor, turn the device on. When the resident comes off the sensor, the LED light will begin flashing green, indicating a call is being sent out. Up to 3 messages will be sent to your pager or phone, triangulating the location of your resident. Your message would say W out of chair, the resident's room number, the location, and the resident's name. Of the 3 messages, the last one to come across your pager or phone is typically the strongest signal. So we recommend going to that location first. If the location is close to the resident's room, go there first. To cancel the call, turn the switch to off for at least 5 seconds. How to use an incontinence sensor with a wireless sensor outlet. Place the incontinence sensor on top of the fitted sheet. It should be as close to the resident as possible. However, no one wants to sleep on top of plastic, so you can put a draw sheet over top of it, but nothing too absorbent. Turn the wireless sensor outlet on. Once the incontinence sensor detects moisture, you will see the LED light flash yellow. At the same time, a message will be sent to pagers. Note that with this particular sensor, the call is sent out immediately regardless of the delay switch setting. To cancel the call, turn the switch to off. Disconnect the incontinence sensor, clean with a damp cloth and mild detergent, dry thoroughly and reconnect the sensor. Ensure the sensor is completely dry to avoid triggering another call. Turn the switch to on once it's ready to be used again. Using 2 sensors with 1 wireless sensor outlet. To use a bed exit sensor and an incontinence sensor on the same bed, simply plug both sensors into either socket of the wireless sensor outlet. Turning the switch to on will activate both sensors, and turning the switch to off for at least 5 seconds will cancel calls for both sensors at the same time. How to change the battery of a wireless sensor outlet. To change the battery of a wireless sensor outlet, remove the battery cover on the back. Carefully remove the old battery and short the battery terminal by touching something metal to both battery terminals at the same time. You can use a screwdriver or a pair of scissors. Hold there for approximately 5 seconds. Place the new battery in, respecting the polarity, and watch the device go through reprogramming itself. The green LED light will flash green for 30 seconds, go solid green for 5 seconds, and then flash once more. Remember to test the device before deploying to residents. Tips and troubleshooting. Are you not getting a page when the sensor is activated? Here are a few things you can check. Make sure you have the correct pager for that area. On the back of the pager, there is typically a number or an area of where the pager should be used. Check to make sure the wireless sensor outlet has been added correctly to the software. Talk to your administrator if there is any discrepancy with the information on the pager message or not getting a page at all. Check to make sure the wireless sensor outlet is on the correct paging plan. Lastly, there are 3 pieces to each setup with the wireless sensor outlet. If you are not getting pages, there may be an issue with one or all of the pieces. Visually, look at each piece. If you find that the adapter cord looks like it may have been damaged, try swapping it with another one and test it. If that doesn't work, go through swapping the sensor and test it, and finally the wireless sensor outlet. Keep in mind, the new sensor outlet will have to be entered into the software prior to testing it. Are you receiving out-of-bed calls when the resident is still in bed? Make sure the placement of the sensor is under the heaviest part of the resident. If the sensor is placed under the shoulders, for example, an out-of-bed call would be triggered if the resident sits up to take a drink of water, resulting in a false call. Check to ensure the original call was canceled properly. Always turn the switch off for at least 5 seconds to cancel a call. The system needs a few seconds to process the cancel, so switching the tab from on to off and back on again quickly like a light switch will not cancel the call. This results in repeat calls to your pager. Before using the wireless sensor outlet with a resident, test to make sure it is working and the correct information comes up on a pager. Start by plugging in the adapter cord and the sensor to be used with this particular resident. Turn the switch on the wireless device sensor outlet to on. If you are using a bed exit sensor or a chair exit sensor, lightly place pressure on the sensor, then lift your hand off. With an incontinence sensor, use a small amount of water to trigger the call. Check that the LED lights blink when the call is triggered and the pager message has the correct call type, room number, and resident name if applicable. If the wireless sensor outlet blinks red, it typically means the device is out of range from the coverage area or the wireless signal did not go through. Test the device again in a different location. The bed sensor outlet can also send you a cord out message on your pager. Cord out message comes from the adapter cord being pulled out of the socket. To cancel this call, plug the cord back in the socket and turn the switch to off for at least 5 seconds. Then turn the switch back on again. Another way a cord out message can be generated is by pulling the adapter cord out of the socket and plugging it into a different one. When you turn the device on, you will get a cord out message because it will remember that there was a cord in this socket. All you have to do is turn the device off for 5 seconds, acknowledging that that cord is missing. That will cancel that call and turn it on again, and now it's ready for your resident. Please email training@vigil.com with any further questions, comments, requests for more training materials, or options for staff training.